And welcome into the No Layups Show. David Nuno and Raheel Ramzanali. I always have a hard time centering myself in the screen because it changes on us. Raheel, how are you?
I'm good, man. I know it's always kind of weird and like you got to tilt and pan and all this, but I think long as people can hear us, I think that's the most important thing, right?
Yeah, man. So today's show, we're going to have a lot of conversations, if you will. We're going to break down a lot of topics. We are a sports/entertainment show. We do try to mingle with the comments that come in, especially the rude ones. I like to mess with those. We're going to have Chaz Miller on the show as well. Chaz is, how do I explain this? Not only is he an ABC 13 personality, but he is the most moody sports fan in the history, not of sports, but of like the people I roll with.
What do you mean? Like he just gets upset about every little thing or what?
Dude, he's grumpy. Like it's really old. Like he's just grumpy. Everything puts him in a bad mood. I love him, but dude is Daniel says the first time he's ever seen what you look like. That's awkward.
I'm all over social media.
Well, you are a social media superstar, my friend.
Yeah, it's one quick Google. I mean, it's not that hard.
Well, great to see you too, Daniel. Greetings.
Thanks for watching, Daniel. So what do you know about Chaz? Like, I know nothing about Chaz other than the interactions I have with him on social media. I don't know where he grew up. I don't know his favorite food. I don't know his real name. Nothing.
It's really not that important, to be honest with you. No, I'm kidding. Chaz is great. He used to work in our department, and then he blew up and started doing like all the things for ABC 13. He huge Houston sports fan, but also spent some time in the Boston area, so he's a huge Tom Brady fan. He thinks Bruce Springsteen is like Drake, or he thinks he's the greatest thing in the world. So we'll break that down in a moment. But we got so many. Okay, so first off, the Texans lose the bye week. They lost another one because on the first day of the bye week, or second day, whatever it was, they got a guy testing for COVID. They have now the Rockets hire Stephen Silas, which I think is probably the best hire per dollar. Does that make sense?
I think it's the best basketball hire. If you were looking for a big splash name like somebody that's been on ABC 13 on ABC and ESPN with Jeff Van Gundy, then that was your big splash hire. But I think from a pure basketball standpoint, with the pieces you have on this roster in James Harden and Russell Westbrook, I think Stephen Silas was the best basketball hire because he can now create an offense that is going to function the best for those two former MVPs, right? Because you look at Dallas's offense before, it wasn't as paced. It wasn't as modern, quote unquote, as it was last season when they had one of the best offenses, if not the best offense in the NBA, led by Luka Doncic. And that was all Stephen Silas is doing. I know fans wanted a bigger name, but trust me on this one, this guy has all the experience. He knows everybody in the NBA. He has a great basketball mind. And I think he is the right basketball hire.
Look, I hope. What I worry about is we're still going to get this. We're still going to get, if you can't see this, me dribbling while sitting. Dribble, dribble, dribble. I'm going to dribble, dribble, dribble. And the shot clock's on 3. And then I'm going to and hit a bunch of those shots and then miss a bunch of them when they matter. That's what I'm trying to avoid. Because I personally think I have stood by Mike D'Antoni forever. I think Mike D'Antoni is a brilliant mind. I don't believe he put his offensive stamp on this team because that wasn't what James wanted. That's my opinion of the situation. But also, Mike wasn't a dominant figure as well. A guy like Jeff Van Gundy is probably exactly what James Harden needs, but it would never work.
Yeah, I'm with you because the style would be so different than what James is used to. And again, look, unfortunately, the NBA is about the players, and it's a players' league, and James is the most important piece in this franchise, right? Like they put everything into James Harden, right? So if you would have brought in JVG, I think it would have been odd. I don't think it would have worked out because that's such a defensive-minded philosophy. And sure, he could have hired the right offensive coaches underneath to help create an offense and architect an offense that goes with James, but I don't think it would have been the right hire. And look, the NBA now is all about isolation anyways. No matter who is here, you're going to get ISO ball, right? You're going to get it. And you're going to
ISO ball with some passes, though. Can you have some ISO ball with some screens?
Like, I mean, just some back movement would be great, right? Like a backdoor cut every once in a while. And you see You see them become so much more efficient when guys are actually moving around. And that goes back to 2016 when Mike D'Antoni's the coach and they, the analytics crew, Daryl Morey and company, said James Harden is one of the greatest isolation players in the NBA, and if not the NBA history, right? So why not get more ISO possessions for him? And it just took off from there. And I'm with you. I didn't like it. I think it's bad. It reminded me of Coutinho Mobley and Steve Francis, right? When they would dribble, and then shoot with 3 seconds left or make a hot pass and put their teammates in a bad position. So I'm with you there, but I think Stephen Silas' offense is going to have ISO offense, but it's going to be more movement based because Dallas had a lot more movement, a lot more pick and rolls.
Let me pause you there.
Yeah.
Let me pause you. Everything you're saying speaks to me. Mm-hmm. By the way, that's the same thing Mike D'Antoni used to do. I mean, there was a lot of movement in Phoenix, more movement in New York, I guess pre-Carmelo, right? I believe that. I believe that's what he wants to do. Does James want it?
Or did Daryl want it? Right, because Morey had the extension in Mike D'Antoni, right? In terms of he was an extension of the analytics and the numbers that he was providing, and then you base your offense on that, right? Daryl Morey's no longer here, so.
But what is Raheel Stone? What is he like?
I don't know. That we're gonna figure that out. He's Daryl's right hand man, but now it's his team, right? Yeah, he was with him for the longest time.
Well, I mean, technically on the basketball side, 2 seasons. Like, I don't think he's a basketball savant. He might be. Again, we don't know the guy, right? And he may just be like an extension of Daryl, perhaps, right? We don't know. I guess I think that's where my frustration is. That I feel like I've seen this movie before, and the Rockets are who they are, and until James takes a different role, which he doesn't have to, right? He's going to score your 35 points a game. He's going to get you to the second round of the playoffs and whatever. So, look, I used to love, full disclosure, I used to love when Charles Barkley played for the Rockets. I'm the guy in Houston, the only guy in Houston that liked Charles with the Rockets. And I used to love how he backed down that kind of ISO ball, and then everybody come in and pass it out to Matt Maloney. I don't love this version of it. I'm going to dribble at the 3-point line, and I'm going to just wait. And then I'm going to do some moves. I'm going to move my shoulders and make you think I'm going somewhere. Is my acting good?
It's terrible. This is why you're a defensive player on the court and not an offensive player. But no, James, look, in today's NBA, ISO guards, they do the same function, right? Like, you've got a one-on-one matchup. If you can't win it, you hope you would make the right pass, right? James is a good passer. His assist numbers are great. Now, he turns over the ball a ton. Okay, so there's that, and so does Russell Westbrook. But they do pass the ball, right? And it's just working from the outside to the outside instead of inside outside like you were talking about with Charles, with Hakeem. It's just going outside to outside. It's usually the Rockets' mentality is, hey, if you can't break somebody down, you get by them, and you still can't get something, you throw it outside again and get a 3-pointer off. So it's going to be interesting, man. I like the hire. I'm all for it. And here's the other thing to consider before we move on to our question that we asked. Russell Westbrook and James Harden only have 2 years left here, right? So this team could look drastically different next year if you're trading away some of these guys for pieces because they might not return or you might not want to bring them back. So Stephen Silas, although is here for James Harden and Russell Westbrook, according to Adrian Wojnarowski, it was a 4-year deal, right? So you think it's not only just for those two, but also because that there's going to be a rebuild in there or a restructuring of the team within Stephen Silas's era here.
Yeah, we'll see. I think this first year will go a long way. Like, I don't believe Russell Westbrook is here for the long haul. I think they will eventually try to trade him. I'm not even sure James Harden is here for the long haul. Does he leave as a free agent in a couple of years? Do they trade him away as a 32-year-old guard who hasn't done anything? Who knows, right? Mm-hmm. He is your best option. You don't trade him because you. I'm not saying he's the reason you're losing. He's probably the reason you're getting as far as you are, but I also don't think that style of basketball is conducive to an NBA championship. But we have some other topics to get into before we let Chaz here on the show. Guaranteed Chaz is wearing a very thick coat in this weather because he loves to show that Boston approach. We'll talk to him here in a moment. But you had a great question to start off the show that only like 4 people have answered. I want some answers to this.
I want some answers to this as well. So the question is, which Houston Pro athlete would you like to work out with? And the reason I'm asking this question is if you haven't read the bio of this episode. So on Tuesday, my friend, Houston Sabercats rugby player Sam Windsor. Yes, we do have a rugby team here in the city of Houston, and they're awesome. They have a brand new stadium off of 288 called Aviva Stadium. He's like, hey, you want to come work out with me? Because I always, hit him up and I'm like, hey, we should work out and do this and all that. And he's like, well, come on. I'm in my off-season conditioning program. And you know me, I love a good conditioning workout. Like, I love the running. Pause. I love doing all of that.
Pause. You love it so you can flex on Instagram. That's why you love it. You're a Juan Beltran 2.0. You're like, oh, I have a reason to take my shirt off and flex.
I never take my shirt off. Never. I'm not that comfortable. But you are right. I do have to put it on Instagram, right? So Sam hits me up. He's like, you want to join me? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. I'm not going to say no to working out with a pro athlete, right? So I get up there and, man, I am still sore today. So my question to everyone is, if you could choose one Houston pro athlete to work out with, either one time or on a weekly basis. He did invite me back, by the way, because he's like, you actually kept up with the conditioning drills. I wanted to invite you, David, but I know you're not a big like running guy in the sense that like shuttles, doing splits. You're more straight line. Let me just finish this because I'm doing the Ironman.
Well, also, I don't want to get an injury, right? Like I just, doing that. I'm 44, Raheel. I'm not, a young chicken like yourself. I don't know why I use the word chicken, but
because you're an old man.
I'm technically old, right? Technically old. So but I am willing to do that. But this is my challenge is to you guys. We could do his workout and get real sore and hurt, but then you come do my workout and we do the Raheel workout later because I believe people get sore in different. When you use different muscles, and it doesn't mean you're not in shape, but if you guys were to do the Ironman workout, it wouldn't go as well, right?
I totally agree with you. Richard has a good one. He says, I'd like to train with former Texan Brian Cushing. He started doing jiu-jitsu a bit ago, and I'd love to roll with him.
Hey,
I would
put that back up.
Yeah, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Put that back up. That guy right there, believe it or not, my cousin.
No way.
100%. We've got a listener.
Wow. 100%. There we go. I like that.
See?
Keeping it in the family.
Well, now everybody knows, and they're going to like him on Facebook and be his friend. So, so I think Cushing's probably the best one for what I was thinking. I haven't found my Houston person yet. I'm trying to think who.
JJ Watt?
I would love to work out with JJ. Sure.
I think JJ would be a fun workout, but
I want to go to his log cabin that's really like a mansion in Wisconsin. That'd be great.
Yeah. I think for me, it has to be basketball specific because I want to work out with somebody in the NBA. It would be Russell Westbrook. I just want to be
in a bad mood the whole workout, though.
Yes.
Making that face.
Yeah, it'll be really intense. It's not going to be fun. It's not going to be, hey, could I just do a variation of this workout? No. He's going to say, you're doing it exactly with the same weights, everything, and then I will be dead afterwards because you can't keep up with an NBA player, right? So I think that'd be a fun one.
I got one for you that you're going to say, that's not Houston, but it technically is. Evander, the real deal Holyfield, used to train here in Houston. That dude at one point was like the most ripped human in the world. I would like to work out with, if I can put disclaimers on this, or I can put some of my own flavor to it, 1988 Evander Holyfield.
Okay, so we're going to have to travel back in time to make this happen. Okay.
Yes.
I don't think we have the budget for that.
We are an internet show.
Yeah, we're maybe, but does he not come back to the city at all?
No,
I thought he does.
I don't know.
No, you can still work. Do you think you could keep up with him right now?
In what?
In a workout. If he put you through a workout.
No, I mean he's almost 60, probably, right?
Yeah.
I still think he'd take me. Yeah, no chance. I'm saying anything. Like I'm sure he could still knock out 8 miles. I'm sure he could still. No way I could keep up with that guy.
No way. Brian Cushing, you're right, is the runaway answer. Yeah, I think that'd be a good one.
I'm trying to who is it? Like I'm thinking somebody ripped, somebody who is known for their work ethic. I mean, JJ's obviously the guy. Michael Brantley, I have no desire to work out with him, but I like Michael Brantley.
I would love to talk to him and just hang out with him. It would be a great talk, but not work out.
To each their own. Would we like to work out with Justin Verlander? Not really. Like I'd chit chat with him as well.
Like what would you? Yeah, same thing. I don't want to work out with pitchers.
Yao Ming. No desire to work out with Yao Ming.
No,
none.
No chance Yao Ming still works out.
No. Did he work out when he played here?
Yeah, he would. That's what I don't know. Maybe he was hurt. I don't know.
Steve Francis?
No chance. No chance.
All right, now we're going to get in trouble with all these people that we're going to try to get on the show one day. Let's let in ABC 13 personality extraordinaire Chaz Miller. Chaz, I don't know if you heard the intro earlier in the show. Did you hear what we talked about?
I heard something about a thick coat. I don't know. Well, other than that, I don't know.
Yeah, well, we also mentioned you're the moodiest person I know.
I can be kind of moody. Can I answer
with
your
sports.
question, though?
With sports.
Yeah, and in life in general. But can I answer your – hi, Raheel, by the way.
Hey, what's up, Chaz? How are you,
I don't think
buddy?
I've ever actually spoken to you other than the internet. So
I know.
Hello.
There you go.
So I want to answer your question. Which Houston athlete would I most –
No, we moved on.
Yeah, we moved on.
Chaz, we moved on, bro.
Can I please answer it, please?
Please. Guess.
All right, go ahead. We got time.
So the only workout I do is running because for 45 minutes to an hour, I'm left alone. It's me, my headphones, quietness. It's my me time. I don't want to work out with anybody. So if I had to pick one person, it would be Zach Greinke because I don't think he would want to talk to me either. So we would just work out, maybe exchange a head nod or something, and go about our days.
So you would just happen to be at the same place as Zach Greinke, basically. Not a workout. It would just be like, okay, yeah, we are working out, but it's just two guys moving within this space that happen to be there at the same time.
Right. Like I say I want to be left alone. I do get a great kick out of like you'll pass another runner on the sidewalk and you'll kind of give them a head nod or a peace sign or something like that. That's all I want. So if I have to do that with any Houston athlete, I guess Zach Greinke.
Would this surprise any of you? When I run, I always say hello to the person coming the other way. And if they don't say hello back, I say something very loud immediately. I said hello. Would that surprise you guys?
I don't say anything back, but it hurts. Like I feel like that's the runner's code is you got to acknowledge each other passing down the street.
Okay, what about neighborhood runs? Okay, here's a question for you runners. So if I'm on one side of the street and the runner that is passing me is on the other side, do you have to say hi or do you only have to say hi when they're crossing the same path as you?
Only crossing the same path. You don't have to worry about them on the other side of the street.
Disagree. If there's eye contact, automatic hello. Every time. If you make eye contact from across the street, you have to at least do a point.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
I do the hey, pal.
Maybe that if eye contact is made, but I will never go out of my way to wave to somebody on the other side of the street. Coming at me? Yes, of course.
Yeah.
You have to.
Okay.
Other side of the street? No thanks.
What if somebody's speeding in the neighborhood and you're running? Do you yell at them when they pass you, or is that just me?
No, I yell at them.
I yell.
If there's kids around, like on our street, if people go fast, I do yell because I got a little kid and there's little kids up and down the street. So yes.
So you live in a high rise, probably with all the rich people, Chaz. We live in a neighborhood, so we have kids always outside.
I too live in suburbia in a little neighborhood. It's lovely.
What part of town do you want to say?
I live in Pearland.
Okay.
And it's cool because we're really friendly with our neighbors and there's a lot to do there. And we do like coming into town and 288's right there. So Pearland's all right.
Okay, so last question on the runner's code, okay? If you are on a bike and you see a runner, do you do a cross sport hi or do you not say hi to them because they're not biking or running? Like, is it only the same sport that you have to say hi?
You cross sports.
Oh, man.
It's cross sports.
I only run. I don't bike. Sometimes I will. I generally don't like cyclists, though, because they're usually in my way. Like if I'm driving, you know, what's the thing that they do once every Friday or they did before COVID where all the bikers would come and they'd block off streets and you couldn't get anywhere. If you got stuck behind them, you're there all day long.
Critical mass.
Thank you. Yeah. Like I kind of associate all cyclists with critical mass and whether that's right or not, I don't know.
Go ahead, David. The floor is yours, buddy.
I do, as I've mentioned, I do the 3 sports and tries. So I do bike, but I haven't biked outside on the street.
Okay.
In over 2 years. I bike. Everything I do is indoors because I'm scared of dying. That's just the truth. But I stop at stop signs. I move to the right. I let cars go because they have more power than us. I do want to ask a question. Should I not do this? One of my workout partners, Juan, told me I should probably chill on this. When I'm at the gym and I see somebody doing, this is the last fitness thing. We'll move on to the real chat stuff. And I see somebody doing improper form, no matter how big, strong, or small they are, I have to fix their form. Is that probably going to get me into a fight at some point?
Yes.
Yeah. 100%. Don't ever fix my form.
Yeah. I would be upset. If somebody did that to me at the gym, I would be upset.
Oh, so that's why they give me dirty. I fix everybody's form. I'm like, hey, dude, you shouldn't be lifting 40s on your bicep curls. You're using your back. Don't do it. They don't like that response.
No,
yeah, that's
nobody.
not cool, man.
Okay, how would you like it if Chaz came up to you and fixed your form, David?
First off,
See?
I consider the source. I'm not, if the person is more strong than me, I might say, oh, you got something there. If there's somebody else, I'd say no. So no, in that instance, Chaz can teach me anything he wants on running because I know he's a better runner than me. I'll teach him the curls.
Yeah, but you might be somebody's Chaz, David. You fail to recognize that. What if they look at you as Chaz and they're like, hey, why is this guy telling me something if I don't want it?
Well,
Right.
I'm only doing it to people that need the help.
That's very presumptuous of you.
Yeah.
I would say don't do that.
I know, but there's
It's very
certain things I know.
Nuno.
I
It's
know.
very Nuno. That's what it is, Chaz.
And I don't want to get violent, but if somebody were to like punch you for doing that, I'd probably snicker a little bit.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
probably
wow.
a little bit.
They better hope they knock me out, Chaz. Let me tell you right now. They better hope. There's
Yeah,
a
it's
weight involved in a
presumptuous.
minute.
It doesn't affect
Chaz.
you. Just let them be.
Can we class up the joint? We have Chaz here. This guy's got a lot of opinions on sports. All he does is complain about Astros baseball and the World Series and everything. Chaz, I find you to be a very likable guy, except when it comes to Houston sports. When you get to Houston sports, it's miserable. It is a constant grind. You gave up on the Astros how many times this year?
Most of the regular season.
Yeah. You had good reason.
I did. They weren't very good. But I
it-
told you, and you hated this theory. This was my theory, and I think it's true. All right, you ready for it again?
Yeah.
Help me out, Raheel. They intentionally treaded water during the regular season. They knew everybody would be saying, oh, these guys can't hit without the trash cans. Oh, they fired Hinch. They stink. Dusty Baker's washed up. All the haters would be happy. So they knew all they had to do was tread water because everybody makes the playoffs now, which I don't love, actually. Everybody makes the playoffs. Then you get in, you turn it on, and you tell everybody, how do you like us now? I think it was intentional. Now, did they finish the job? They did not. But I would like to think that it was just the most epic troll job ever. And that's why once the playoffs started, they were great until they weren't.
I think there was some of that, like, hey, we don't need to push it really hard here because, again, more than likely we're going to make the playoffs. I don't think they were like intentionally tanking to troll people, but I think they were taking it as a let's treat the first 60 games here as more of a preseason, right? Like let's work our way in because traditionally you do peak after about 60 games. You start finding yourself, you start finding your rotation. I don't think the injuries helped either. That hurt them in terms of getting more wins, but I think they purposely did it where it's like, hey, we don't need to stress out. We don't need to push ourselves and burn out and then start, falling apart like Minnesota did in the playoffs or Oakland did, right? So they peaked at the right time. I think there was some of that for sure, but they were also, you look at Jose Altuve, I think there was some of that. Man, I think this guy's really reeling from everything that happened with the scandal. You could tell on his face. You could tell with the body language. So there was, I think it was a mixture of both.
Let me ask you guys.
Go ahead.
No, please, Chaz. By all means, this is your show. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm not a psychiatrist. I've been to plenty over the years. You talk about my moodiness, David. But yeah,
Sports moodiness, Chaz. Sports moodiness. We're leaving it at sports. That's where you're moody. You're a very nice office mate.
But it did look like it was in Altuve's head, and so obviously he kind of got out of it in the playoffs. But it was just a weird year all around. So the fact that they were able to get into the playoffs and make that little run, it at least made this year fun. So I can't.
I think
say
it was
that for a lot of the season.
it was in Carlos's head too, in a positive way, right? Like you don't react the way he did after beating Minnesota if you weren't thinking about it so much, right? Like we got to prove the haters wrong, and we can use this as fuel. So there's a good way to do it, right? Like Carlos did, and then there's Jose Altuve who did not deal with it in the best way because you could tell it just didn't look right, as you mentioned. But I think the whole team, they knew it. Like they're thinking about it. They know what's being said. As much as they're going to say that, no, we don't care about the outside and all this, blah, blah, blah. It's human nature to care, okay? We as humans care about what our community, our society thinks about us. That's just part of it. So I think there was definitely overthinking about it both ways, positive and negative.
Well, I'll say this. I think all things can be true. There was no real tanking of the regular season to catch people under guard. I can't imagine a team meeting where Dusty's like, everybody come in. All right, guys. Alex, you're going to bat 242 this year. I just Googled it, okay? Alex, you're going to bat 240. Jose, just She's going to bat 220. I mean, your Hall of Fame's on the line. Don't worry about it. We're going to just sneak into the playoffs, and then we're going to catch everybody off guard. No. I think there is some truth to what you guys are saying, that maybe they didn't have to put the accelerator down in a 60-game season, especially when people started dropping like fleas, Osuna, Verlander, Jordan. So I think all that, you add those three guys to this team, who knows if they go further? Maybe they lose earlier. Who knows? But they are a much better team with those guys. So I think a lot of unexpecteds. And then they just kind of fell off on hard times at the end of the regular season when they lost that series to the Rangers. So I think all things can be true, but I don't think they were purposely like, let's catch guys off guard.
Breaking news. I don't know if you guys just saw this. Tony mentioned this in the comments here. Tony La Russa, the new manager for the Chicago White Sox, not AJ Hinch, as the rumors were swirling around all week long that it could be AJ. But Tony La Russa, at age of 76, the new manager.
Hey, if our president can be 76, the White Sox manager can be 76 as well.
I don't know where I saw it because I was looking on Twitter before you guys came to me. Apparently, they never even interviewed AJ Hinch.
Really?
The White Sox. I don't remember where I saw that, but they're saying that he is the number one candidate of the Tigers, which would make sense. He played there. And we can get into a whole other topic about AJ Hinch. I'm glad he's getting another job. I think he's a good guy. I think he made a mistake. He should have done more with the cheating scandal. I wouldn't be shocked to see him get another job. I don't know about Luno. As far as it relates to the Astros, I didn't love AJ Hinch. I thought he was too analytical. I think it all goes back to the way he handled Zach Greinke in Game 7. I hated that he pulled Zach Greinke. I firmly believe that if he would have just gone with his gut and seen it for the most part, Greinke was dealing. The Astros would have a second World Series ring. And I've quit baseball entirely because of Blake Snell getting pulled. When baseball becomes baseball again and not my cousin playing PlayStation, I'll watch. But the analytics have run amok. And I felt like the Astros were too much of that with AJ Hinch. I enjoyed seeing Dusty be a little more old school this year. The first Astros manager I ever watched was Durker. And I heard Shane Reynolds even a few years ago saying Larry Durker taught me how to pitch because he didn't pull me in jams. He made me learn how to work my way out of it. You don't see that anymore. I don't like analytics. I think they have a certain place in the game. But when you're pulling Blake Snell after 73 pitches or pulling Zach Greinke when he's rolling against the Nationals, I loathe it. I hate it.
Okay, so help me out with history here, okay? So obviously AJ pulling Greinke last year was a mistake. At the time when he did it, I understood it. I did not understand taking Blake Snell. I mean, if I remember correctly, help me out here, guys. Greinke had given up a home run, and then did he walk somebody afterwards?
So he gave up a home run to Rendon to make it 2-1.
Right.
They had already gotten it out in that inning. Gives up a home run to Rendon. And then he walks Soto, and one of those pitches was low or was a borderline strike call.
Yeah.
So he gets on. So you've got one out, one runner on. But after that part, you're through at the absolute heart of their order. Now, obviously, Kendrick can hit, and he did. But, I grew up not far enough back to watch Nolan Ryan, and say what you will about the guy now. Like, I used to watch Kurt Schilling all the time. Why would you pull a guy like that or Randy Johnson? I just don't understand it. And the guys coming up against Snell to talk about that, the next 3 Dodgers were 0 for 6 with 6 strikeouts against him. Yeah. The fact that was apparently decided in a back room somewhere before the game started, I don't get it. And if you can't tell, it makes me really mad.
With Greinke, at the time when AJ pulled him, I was like, okay, who are you going to bring in here? Just don't bring in Will Harris because he hadn't been good. He had also pitched, I believe, 3 straight appearances, so you had seen him a bunch. He wasn't good in the playoffs. I know in the regular season, Will Harris is awesome.
Wait. Will was good during that series, but yes.
He was great during that series.
But you had seen him 3 times in a row, right. I think. It wasn't 3 straight games. You had seen him at that point, and he had pitched, was it 2 straight days or 3 straight days as well? So a reliever in that situation with that many appearances in a straight day format, it normally does not work out. And that was my issue, was like, don't bring him in, and guess who he brought in? And that was it.
And it was a great pitch, but I think AJ Hinch had even said, like, Will Harris is a little tired. He's been pitching a lot lately.
Yeah, he said that before the game, didn't he?
I think he did.
Yeah.
So would you guys have been okay? And we're doing sports talk radio from 2019. It's 2020. We should be talking about new things. That being said, would you guys have been okay had he brought in Garrett Cole at that point?
Yeah, I would have been okay with it.
I would have felt better about that than I would have bringing in Will Harris again. As good as Will Harris was, and obviously they missed him in the bullpen this year, if you were going to take him out, bring Cole in. It would have been less bitter of a pill to swallow if Garrett Cole had given up the lead, because that was your horse most of the year. I think he should have won the Cy Young over Verlander than if Will Harris came in and blew the game, which he did.
By the way, the Astros did place Roberto Osuna today on outright waivers. So more than likely, he's not going to be here next year. He was out the whole year pretty much with the elbow injury. And I just want to bring this up. Look, there was a lot of controversy when Roberto Osuna came here. He was serving the 75-game suspension under MLB's domestic violence policy. And I just want to point this out on Ben Ryder's podcast. Ben Ryder, who we had on the show talking about the Edge, Houston Astros, in episode 4, they brought up a really interesting point that I had no idea that this happened. After they signed Osuna, did you know that Taubman had to lead a town hall meeting about the signing and the trade?
The staff, right?
Yeah, with the staff inside the Astros. I had no idea it got that heated within the organization, where the entire organization had to meet, not players, but people that work for the Houston Astros, to talk about that signing, and it was that controversial.
And the other thing, I don't know if you guys knew this, he added in that the media member that felt, I don't know what's the right word, not threatened, but that Taubman's actions were directed at during the celebration, apparently ran into him at a coffee shop afterwards. The two hashed it out, and he not only apologized, but he said all the things he was doing. I think he was working at a shelter with battered women. He was doing a lot of things. So, hey, props to him for doing the right thing afterwards. His horrific mistake in timing and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I just thought that was an extra piece to that story, a different layer that I hadn't heard before until I heard the podcast.
Which is, it's cool to hear that, because I hadn't heard that. Obviously, you heard all this stuff beforehand, but the fact that he did use this bad situation and at least try to move forward and try to do some good out of that bad situation, it's nice. And I've been listening to that podcast. I'm not to episode 4 yet, so
spoiler alert: the Astros get in trouble.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert: Did you hear who was on that podcast?
I did not.
Your boy right here.
Congratulations. So was Greg Bailey.
Oh,
yeah,
and
Bailey
so
was on it.
Steve, I think Steve Roma was on it, and Erica as well. We had,
really?
Yeah, and I don't think they've asked Channel 13 for
Oh
approval.
no, they didn't ask us. He just took our clips and he's like, I don't care. What are you going to do about it? You going to sue us? You have time right now? Go ahead.
I mean, we are kind of busy, but maybe fair use or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm sorry you weren't in it, David.
Oh, everyone was. I think Chaz was in it. I think everyone made it but David. Wow.
Yeah, I think that's a little rude. Hey, so if we're going to be rude, Chaz, why Bruce Springsteen?
Why Bruce Springsteen?
I mean, he's great. I'm not saying he's not. But like, he was great in 1983. It's been a long time, but he is your role model. Like Sylvester Stallone is to me still.
Bruce Springsteen was at his greatest from about 1973 until about 1981, so even further back. And I think he's still great. But my dad, and to a lesser extent my mom, grew up listening to classic rock. Like, I remember driving around with my dad listening to Don Henley and the Eagles and stuff like that. And then I had a bus driver in school that used to play the oldie station in town. And I used to like all those 60s pop records, those Phil Spector Wall of Sound type pop records. So Springsteen marries a lot of that together. He's rock and roll, classic rock, but he's also kind of a throwback where he takes the saxophone and takes that Wall of Sound and keyboards and brings it all together. And he's great live. And I've always got, I'm always on the move. I can't sit still very long. And most of his greatest songs are about getting away and running away. And it's just always struck a chord with me. I think his songwriting's great. I know a lot of people don't. I love his voice. And I think he's the whole package.
Am I right? They made a movie recently where the guy, I think it's a guy in Europe or in England perhaps, and he takes his inspiration from Bruce Springsteen songs. Am I right? Did I see a preview of this?
Yeah,
you probably saw it. Yeah.
It's called Blinded by the Light. It's off of a book that a guy wrote. It's a true story, and it was directed by the same director who did Bend It Like Beckham. So,
got to be good.
There you go.
Okay.
I actually haven't seen it.
I'll watch that. I want to watch that. If anybody can find the name of that.
It's called Blinded by the Light. I think it might still be on Netflix. It's on.
He literally just named.
I didn't hear. I was reading a comment. Sorry.
He literally said it.
No, I thought he was just saying I'm blinded by Bruce Springsteen's light. So I was like, oh, whatever. Is it? Yeah, I was like, yeah, it's just Chaz being Chaz. It's fine. Okay, blinded by the light.
I respect. So when I joke with you about it, It's just not my genre, but I know he's great. Like, obviously, he's a legend. But I just love to give you a hard time anytime I can, Chaz.
That's okay. And I think, like, with him, so many people associate him with Born in the USA, which is not my favorite Springsteen record. It was pretty bombastic. He kind of becomes a self-parody in certain elements of that. And you know, I think when people think Springsteen, they think that. And while that album has its merits and there's some great songs on there, his stuff that he did in the 70s, back when he wrote a little more Bob Dylan-y, to me, it resonates more with me. And I think you've kind of heard a shift over the last several years of people thinking, oh, Bruce Springsteen's lame. Oh, wow, Bruce Springsteen's great. And I think a lot of that comes from those records from 1973 to about 1981, 82. So I would tell you to start early with Bruce Springsteen and then go from there.
I'm good.
All right. Raheel was thinking about it. I saw he posted a Coldplay record fairly recently on Twitter. I know Coldplay loves Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah, I did actually. I'm big into vinyl now because I started collecting about a year and a half ago. So I'll just find deals on eBay all the time, and I finally got one of my favorite albums of all time, Viva La Vida, Dead to All His Friends. So by Coldplay, I think it's one of the best albums. It's so good. But I did pick that up, and then the day I tweeted you about that, I think I was just like, I'll never get into Springsteen. But you said, hey, listen to these. I did go back and listen to them, and I just never got into it, you know. And I think there's so much of, like, if you grew up with that music, if you have an emotional tie to somebody, you think favorably of that person, and it'll resonate with you a lot more than it would for somebody that is now, you know, like, musically developed, trying to get into it in the later years. So I just think there's some of that as well. But all respect to the OG.
Which is the song that Courtney Cox jumps on the stage and dances with him?
That's Dancing in the Dark.
Dancing in the Dark. I should have known the name.
Which, I'll get real nerdy on you. In Born in the USA, it was recorded in the 80s, right? So it was very synthesizer-y. It sounds very dated if you listen to the studio version. But the modern day live version, those synthesizers have been replaced by guitars, and I like it a lot better. It's got a much more kind of timeless sound to it. And he also does a really great acoustic version of it on his Broadway album that might be my favorite version of Dancing in the Dark. Because when you take away all the sheen and you read the lyrics, they're pretty dark. So,
Chaz, I know that you also have a man crush on Tom Brady. How did that, is it from your time living in the Boston area?
I used to, and I still do, when I was a kid, my grandparents had a better TV than we did. And so I would go to their house every year and watch the Super Bowl because their TV didn't suck like ours did. And so I just have really fond memories of watching those early Brady Super Bowls at my grandparents' house.
So you were a kid when he was winning Super Bowls?
I was a freshman in high school when he won his first Super Bowl.
I was a grown man working.
Yeah, I was a freshman in high school. And and then having moved to Boston, and I lived there during the undefeated season, or the almost undefeated season. And I think he's great. And I'm a contrarian, so the more people hate on him and Belichick, the more I'm going to like him. I think he's amazing. I think the fact that he's still doing it at 43 or whatever he is now, it's incredible. And I know there's Deflategate, which comes with a lot of kind of sketchy strings attached to it. And the Spygate thing, well, the whole thing about, they were taping the Rams walkthrough in that first Super Bowl, that wasn't true. The Spygate game came from the first game of that 2007 season against the Jets. Who cares? I think Tom Brady, for the most part, is an upstanding citizen, and I think he's great.
Well, he also has won after all the controversy, so it validates everything else. Like, you don't bring it up, right? Like, nobody, I think only haters bring up Tom Brady as, like, the Deflategate stuff as, like, the fifth point in everything, right? It's not the first thing you bring up until, for example, the Astros, it's always going to be trash cans until you validate and win one after all the controversy and scandal.
But they did put a little bit, I don't want to say they silenced it because they're not going to silence it. But I think they took a little bit of the steam away as well as they did this postseason.
Sure, a little
bit. There's a great book that just came out by Jeff Benedict. It's about the inner workings of the Patriots dynasty. And I read it while the Astros were kind of floundering through the regular season. And they said the thing that really lit the fire, other than trading for Randy Moss and all that stuff during the season, was people talking mess about the fact, they cheated, they're no good. They used that as kind of their rallying cry, and then went and killed everybody for most of that season. And I read that, and I was like, that's really the only thing the Astros could do to shut people up, is just keep winning, win another ring, and do it over and over again. And at the time, I was like, instead, they chose to lay down and die. Obviously, that didn't happen because they made the playoff run. But yeah, it is interesting to see that Brady and then the Astros, two of my sports things I like to watch, both have a little bit of controversy attached. A little bit for Brady, a lot for the Astros.
Let me guess, Lance Armstrong's in the mix too?
I'm not a cycling fan.
Okay. I'm just trying to do the trifecta, the trio.
Chaz, where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Friendswood, so right down the road.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So you're a Houston kid.
I am, yeah.
All right. I didn't know that. That's why I was asking David. I was like, we don't know anything about Chaz, and David couldn't add to it either. So I was like,
no,
hey.
I know a lot about Chaz.
You did? Okay.
We went to an Astros game once together that he reminds me about all the time.
When they were garbage, man. That was in 2013.
Dang, shout out to free tickets. Definitely a free ticket joint. That's no one
remember
paid
correctly,
for those.
You guys almost crossed paths together because Chaz, I believe, interned at Sports Radio 610 or was doing work for them right after you were, Raheel.
Really? What years were you there, Chaz?
I interned there in the summer of 2008. So I came home from college and got that internship, and that was that. I interned with Robert Hensley over there. It was a great summer.
I was there from 2004 to 2007. I would intern when I was back home from the University of Texas.
Nice.
Yeah,
it was cool. Most people's. I remember I went to my friend's house during that summer, and he said, "What'd you do with your internship today?" And I said, "There wasn't much going on." I said, "I just interviewed Lance Berkman and Cecil Cooper." He's like, "Do you realize what you just said? Like, for your summer internship, there wasn't much going on. You went and interviewed Lance Berkman." So that kind of put things into
Cecil
perspective.
Cooper.
Yeah, I like going Cecil.
And Cecil Cooper, yeah.
And Cecil.
Cecil Fielder, Cecil Cooper.
Did I say Fielder?
You said Cecil.
You said
it's Cecil.
Yeah, Cecil Cooper.
Cecil,
and it's
Cecil.
Cecil Fielder.
All right, tomato.
Yeah. I always think of those years with the Astros when Ed Wade was getting beat up by Sean Chacon. Yep.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that. It was the wildest thing because we were working at 1560 at that point, David.
Yep.
And I remember calling one of our friends within the clubhouse to get the story. And I was like, what happened? What? And then I think Sean Chacon joined us as well after he was let go, if I recall correctly, Nuno.
I don't remember that being this case, but it's very possible. Dude, I don't remember people I interviewed last week. That's a true story. I will remember this one, Chaz.
Well, yeah, because you're so big and famous now.
That also sounded very entitled for me.
Yeah, so entitled.
Hey, it is what it is, guys.
I mean, you are a big deal. That's why
I do work in sports. Okay, slow down.
I used to work with you. Do you remember that?
Wait, you used to work at Channel 13?
I used to work with you in the sports department. Very brief time.
At Channel 13?
Yeah, when we went to that ball game together, I worked in there.
Oh, I thought I just ran into you there.
No, it felt like it, but I worked a little bit back there with you.
Didn't you also help me at a Bill O'Brien Sunshine Kids event as well?
I did at the it was at some hotel. I just remember Bill O'Brien was drinking a Corona with a lime in it, and when I saw that, I was like, "Yeah, this isn't gonna work." It was very early in his tenure.
That was literally like the summer he got hired.
Yeah,
my dude was at the playa. Come on,
I love a good beer, but not that one.
My dude was enjoying the playa life, man. Come on.
He was.
What are you working on now, Chaz?
What am I working on now? So we're doing a bunch of Halloween stuff this week. 'Tis the season. Mm-hmm. And so I was at Glenwood Cemetery yesterday. And after I'm done talking to you guys, which is an honor, by the way, to talk to you, Raheel, not so much you, David. I'm going to La Carafe, which is a haunted bar downtown. So doing a lot of haunted Houston this week.
Cool.
Chaz, how fast do you run a mile in typically when you're going?
When I'm in shape?
Yeah.
8 minutes.
And when you're not in shape, 8:20?
No, if I went and ran a mile right now, I know looking at me, you're like, well, that guy is an Adonis. But I'm not in good shape right now. Probably about 8:30, 8:40, somewhere in there.
Real, we'd be dead.
No. What do you mean we'd be dead?
Consistently for like a 10-mile run, 8:30? No way.
Oh, wait, you're doing – oh, wow, that's – yeah.
This guy runs like he'll run okay, I'm just going to run for 10 miles. That's what he does. He doesn't
I don't do long miles anymore, but I was like sub 8 minutes on my half marathon.
See, that's really good.
Yeah. Back when I was like really in shape. Now
don't go back. Back when I was in my 30s, I would do 200 push-ups at once.
Yeah, but now if I have to run a mile, if I had to do a mile right now, I would say it'll be below 8 minutes, but it wouldn't be like it would be closer to 8 minutes than 7 minutes.
You know what? You could run a mile in 10 minutes And that would make me way less angry than David running a mile in 7 minutes, but correcting the person next to him's form. So,
hey, do it right or don't do it at all.
All right.
I just literally had this conversation with Jay Susteria. I said it very Cuban, by the way.
Yeah, it's Jay Sataria.
But I said it very Cuban. Jay Sataria at his gym today. And I was talking, I go, hey, man, when people are doing, and he goes, yes, it's all about form. So if a trainer tells me that I feel empowered to tell people how to do it.
But that's not your job. Like, I'm not gonna go I'm not gonna walk into your sportscast like, hey man, I didn't really like the way you pronounced Durker there. Let's try it this way. It's not my job.
He's right.
He's got a point there at work, but at the gym, you're looking to get better. At work, you're just trying to get through.
The key word there is you're looking to get better, not we're looking to get better.
Some people are just there like, just leave me alone. This is my 45 minutes away from the family.
This is just to check the box. If you're there just to check the box to say I went to the gym and actually fake the workout, then you don't need the help. But if you are looking for long-term success, you need some pointers.
But you don't get to determine who's looking for long-term success.
We're at a gym. It's not a solo session. It's open. And if I see it wrong, I'm just going to, hey, can I give you – this is how I open. Hey, can I give you a little suggestion? And if they say no problem. But this is what they say. Yeah, sure. I noticed that you're swinging your elbows when you do in your back.
So what happens if you're giving somebody a tip and then another guy's like, hey, actually, he's teaching you the wrong way, and he comes to correct your form while you're teaching somebody else? What happens then?
I only speak up when I'm correct.
I will say this, though.
Who knows?
The fact that you just said that before you do it, you'll say like, hey, can I give you some advice? That makes it better. Because in my head, you were just walking up to them saying, you see that elbow right there? Let's go ahead and bring that in a little bit, like while they're in mid-workout. So the fact that you actually kind of preface that with, hey, do you want some help? I'm not going to make fun of you as much.
I'm going to be very honest with you guys. I choose my customers, if you will, delicately. I look at them and I size them up. I'm like, is this the kind of person that is looking to get some information? Because I do not want to get into a fight at the gym.
Right.
And I would say I got about a 75% success rate when it comes to helping people. I've had one person walk off like, I'm good. But other than that, people are happy.
I pick my customers.
The fact that you've like put a percentage to this, the fact that, I've helped 75% of the people I've offered advice to is
Chaz,
ridiculous.
if you would like some help on your triceps, I got a great workout for you.
My wife mentioned my triceps the other day. I think she said something along the lines of you need to start doing some push-ups. So might have to come to you.
Tricep. What did Matthew McConaughey? Matthew McConaughey said the tricep is the working man's muscle.
That's right.
That's what it is. That's the working man's muscle.
By the way, Matthew McConaughey has a book. I started listening to him on the Joe Rogan podcast, Raheel. I think we have a guest in mind. I think we can hit it out of the park. Why not? He's got a book.
I know. And he's my UT brother. He's the minister of culture at the University of Texas. Famous Texas College of Communication RTF majors. Matthew McConaughey, Morales, and Raheel Ramsnali. I'm just gonna go ahead and put myself in that class there.
Like the Holy Trinity right there.
Yeah.
Texas A&M, Greg Bailey, David Nuno.
Okay, who else?
Greg Bailey, David Nuno.
Rachel Bryers went to Texas A&M.
Travis Herzog.
There you go.
Oh, it's a pipeline.
Bro, telling you, like
Chaz, where'd you go to school?
Steve Romo, another one.
I think he did. Yeah, he did go to A&M. I went to Northeastern, whose greatest media export is Wendy Williams. So
what?
There you go.
Wendy Williams in the morning.
When that is the one. Went to Northeastern.
Nice. There you go. Chaz, man, keep up the great work. It's awesome seeing you around, doing great stories and featuring some cool stories from around the town and communities that sometimes don't get all the mention. You and Pooja are doing great stuff, man.
Yeah, it's fun. And real quick before I go, I wanted to say, like, when you guys started this, I was talking to David on the phone, probably complaining about something. And he, without me even bringing it up, said, we want to have you on our podcast, but you don't have enough Twitter followers. So the fact that you've come around to my 14 Twitter followers and let me on your podcast, it means a lot. And it's really a career highlight.
You know how you can tell when someone's lying? Look at their facial expression. Chaz is got Botox face when he's telling the story. That's how you know it's a lie.
Raheel, does that sound like a real story or not?
Did you see me laughing? Because that was my reaction. Like, dang, he actually said that to him, because that sounds like Nuno.
Truth be told, I thought it. I didn't say it. Okay.
No, you said it.
No, I did not.
You 100% said it.
No, I would have never said it directly to you. I would have told you, hey, man, you need some help with some Instagram followers? I got the great technique for you.
I don't just make these things up, man. Like you said it.
Yeah, man, I can't wait to hang out in person one day soon.
Yeah, nice meeting you, Raheel. David, I'll see you when I walk around the corner here. So y'all have a good one.
I like your office. It's nice in there. I like it. It's good looking.
I moved out of the broom closet into the break room just for this interview. So I'm going to go back now.
Nice. Why don't y'all just share one camera? You guys should just sat next to each other the whole time.
COVID, yeah. Hey,
COVID.
Chaz, out of all producers that have left this department to go do stuff on air, you're in the top 5, buddy. Way to go. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
You're one of my favorite people.
And same to you. I don't like you as much as Raheel, but I like you. So,
thanks.
Again, I'll see you around the corner.
All right, man.
All right, bye, guys. Thanks.
Bye. Wow, you cut him off real quick.
I cut him out fast. I was like, that's enough.
That's my buddy. Hey, I've got to do a HISD Bel Air High School behind the scenes at ABC 13 virtual tour. So I'm going to do that here momentarily. You guys cannot watch. I don't know why people are still watching. But that being said, it was a successful show, Raheel.
Absolutely. Can I plug one thing real quickly before we get out of here? So in 2 days, the month of October is ending. That means November is starting, and you've probably heard about it, Movember, all right, where guys will start, keeping their mustaches and all that. Well, there is an actual charity and foundation element to that. I am one of their global models. If you follow me on Twitter, on Instagram, you'll see me posting pictures from
I
wherever.
saw you said model. I mean, like,
yeah,
you
no, I
just
am
said
there.
Representatives. You had to use the word model.
I am a model, though. I am not a representative. That'd be incorrect.
You could use a different word. It was a humble brag.
No, it was a full brag. There was no humble. It was an actual brag. But it is starting up. So if you do want to join, you can join my team, Movember.com/T/team Raheel, or just follow me on social media. You'll see the link. And for my ladies out there, if you don't want to keep a mustache, right? You're like, or guys, if you don't want to keep a mustache because you got to do TV, David, you can also pledge to move 60 miles for the month in honor of the 60 men that commit suicide every hour around the world. So these funds will help raise awareness, charity, and hopefully resources for men and mental health as well. So that's going to be going on in just a few days. So please join me and help Houston represent on the global stage.
I think it's great that you do it. And I know last year when you went to London, I think it was last year, it's been such a long year with COVID. It seems like a while that you were one of the ones. Chaz just walked by, said hi. You were one of the ones that got to go to London and enjoy the campaign and whatnot. Just a thought. I'm not trying to make a joke, but just a thought. I started laughing. So why not have the ladies grow their hairs out on their legs? Like it's the same thing. You could, I mean, you know what I'm saying? They could. Just a thought. I mean, when you go to the next board meeting with the models, pitch that idea.
I'll pitch it. But for the ladies and for the men who don't want to rock the mustache, pledge 60 miles. 60 miles. Move 60 miles
in the
month of November. And I'll start keeping my mustache. I'll clean shave on November 1st, and I'll start growing it in. And by the end of the month, it's going to look ridiculously awesome.
I'll do a filter. I'm not a.
Okay. Yeah, I know you're not a mustache guy.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. And honestly,
you'll get an email. I know.
I'll get it in trouble. There'll be a letter. Like, look.
No.
This is my brand, bro.
I know. I totally get it. I'm not. That's why I'm telling you to move 60 miles. I know your brand.
I will do 60 miles.
Okay, perfect. Deal.
And you can work on my form as I'm doing it.
All right, man. Thank you to Chaz Miller. Thank you everyone for watching. That was a good show, and hope everyone enjoyed it.